Yes, Hornets, how are we? Hope you're having a lovely summer. It's feeling like a little bit of a while since we did a video. I think it's 3 weeks to be exact. My name is Jacob Colshot, obviously. I'm joined by Charlie Zazera. We've got a special guest joining us in just a second. Now, Charlie's been flying all over Europe. I say all over Europe. He was in Bratislava to watch the England under-21s. And if you didn't know, he's semi-famous. Charlie, for the people who don't know, why are you semi-famous over the last week?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Just had a good trip watching Carsley's boys do the business again. And the person who I was with maybe got caught on terrestrial TV. But yeah, all good fun. Who's the special guest?
Special guest. We've got a very special guest. He's a man who's feel free to join us for about 5 minutes or so. It's only Sam Yuko on the other side of the world. Sam, for people who don't know, where are you, Sam? Talk to us about the location, because this might be. Well, look, we're going viral. We're massive.
Mr. Worldwide.
Listen, it's obviously we had the Australia videos during last season as well, but currently joining you live here from Koh Phangan in Thailand. You can hear the rain in the background. It's currently rain season, so it's absolutely chucking it down at the moment. But yeah, spent some time in the Philippines for a couple of weeks, now in Thailand, heading over to Vietnam and Cambodia after. Quality out here. Probably my one bit of Watford story. It's been really nice sort of switching off from Watford, but I found this sort of Filipino football ultra who was we were talking about just generally. He asked me how I support Watford, and obviously one of the Philippines, their greatest ever players was Neil Etheridge, and Cardiff sort of managed to get quite a big following out there. So we reminisced on when we beat them 5-1 and Gerald Delafeu managed to score a hat-trick, which was decent. But I must say as well, before we get fully into the video, I am nursing a couple of gin and tonics, particularly after Charlie recommended me some gin. But I must say, I am really missing sort of more locally brewed drinks, which is why I'd recommend, if you are in Watford at the moment, head down to the Mad Squirrel, where you get some fantastic local beers. And yeah, I'm looking forward to heading down there when I get back.
Sam, as Pitbull says, you're Mr. Worldwide. You're absolutely everywhere at the minute. And just, I don't think there's anyone else I know on this planet, I don't know about you, Charlie, that would manage to get Neil Etheridge and Watford in the same sentence on the other side of the planet. One thing I want to know, though, Sam, is what was your reaction when we got Charlton away on the opening day? Are you going to be there for that?
I will be, yeah. So I get back 5 days before Charlton away. Do you know what? I planned this perfectly. I left 2 weeks after the season ended, and I'm back the week before the season starts. So all I'm missing is pre-season. So yeah, dreamy stuff for me. My immediate reaction was I was on these like floating bungalows yesterday in the middle of absolutely nowhere, a lake in the middle of Thailand, and I mean, you can't really knee slide across water, but the thought of a boat party on the Thames before the game would be unbelievable. I actually think it's actually gone under the radar a bit. My immediate thought was it's Watford against Nathan Jones, the first game of the season. I don't think anyone's really spoken about that yet, to be honest with you. So it's a tasty one. It's definitely going to be a difficult game going to a newly promoted side on the first day of the season, but yeah, can't complain. I think it should be a quality away day, shouldn't it? Will you both be there?
Well, yeah, I think we'll absolutely be there. And funnily enough, if you remember watching our video 3 weeks or so ago, we said about our ideal first opening game, and I think all three of us said Charlton away was right up there. Charlie and I are going to break down the fixtures in a little bit more depth, but we wanted to catch Sam before he heads off for the night. I don't know what the night is in store, Sam. I don't want to pre-guess it, but we thought we'd catch him just before he goes. So, Sam, whilst you're out there at the minute, I'm just going to throw a very general question about Watford. From what you're reading, from what you're seeing online and what people are talking about, how are you feeling at the moment? We're coming up to July, so pre-season is around the corner in terms of fixtures. The guys are back into the training ground this week. They're reported in for duty to Paolo Pezzolano, so the first few players have come to London Colney. How are you feeling at this moment in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think anyone's sort of kidding themselves when, regardless of what happened at the back end of last season, is sacking Tom Cleverley, that you always get to start a pre-season. There's always that sort of hope within you that you're going to be excited. You're thinking about what's coming next over the next few months. The fixtures come out. I imagine the new kit will come out over the next week or two as well, and that's always sort of brings that level of excitement. And I think that was there, to be honest with you. Sort of seeing Paolo in the training top as well. Again, I know nothing about him, and I think there's something quite nice about that as well. Almost going into a season completely unknown as well. In terms of the head coach, I mean, it could go terribly wrong, but I think there's something quite nice about almost not knowing anything at all. I can't lie, my sort of optimism was dampened a bit yesterday when the news broke about Imran Louza. I'm not sure. I think the Watford Observer broke the news, didn't they, or Lou Warnes as well. I'm not sure if I read it right, but has he handed in a transfer request now, or he's at least told the club that he wants to move on? So that sort of dampened my mood a bit, because I'm sure we'll see the same with George Chapatase. And after seeing what Gino said, that we want to keep our best players, yeah, it's going to be difficult to mount a promotion push replacing those two with where Watford are at the moment. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of months coming up. But I think my sort of immediate thoughts is, at this time of the year, regardless of what's going on with Watford, I'm always going to be excited.
Absolutely, Sam. Before you leave us, what's your message to the WD18 subscribers? Because we actually mentioned it before we went live and press record that we haven't been as regular. And shout out, I actually met Kyle, if you're watching, top man. I was on the way back from work on the Met line, and Kyle was like, "Oh, I watched WD18, love the videos," which absolutely made my day. And we had a really good chat about Watford for the next sort of 45 minutes or so. And he mentioned that you guys haven't done a stream recently. So, Sam, what's your message to the subscribers from the beautiful setting that you're in? The rain's pouring, the drinks are flowing, Watford are coming back. What's your message to the people?
I think what I'd say actually is, I mean, we're going into pre-season now. We must be playing our first games for Bournemouth, I think, in the next couple of weeks. That regardless of what the expectations are this season, whether it's playoff pressure, whether it's just staying up, just get behind the team. I think we saw last season it was never a case of the team not trying necessarily, but I just think get behind the team, and hopefully we see some new signings coming in, which I'm sure you'll both discuss today. The Udinese striker coming in as well. His name's left my mind now. So yeah, just enjoy it, because ultimately at some point in the season we're going to go through difficult moments. But I think just universally as a football fan, this time of the year is always the best for optimism. So soak yourself in that, and fingers crossed. Next time I'll be on a stream, it'll be the match reaction when we hammered Charlton 3-0 on the first day of the season.
Well said, Sammy boy. Lovely words, mate. Charlie, any final thoughts before Sam goes?
Just again, he was saying like the only man that I know who would be travelling the world, having the best time of his life, but still find time to tweet about Craig Cathcart. also a bit disappointed we haven't heard any Thailand intangibles in his
no intangibles.
He'll be back.
Yeah, quickly before I go. I mean, I am on holiday, Charlie, so we need to give the intangibles a bit of a break as well. Score predictions: Bournemouth away. What are we going with?
Do you know what? I've got a better one. Who will be the rogue goal scorer in that game that won't play for Watford this season? So, like Jack Greaves scored.
Yeah, Greaves he scored
last pre-season right at Bournemouth. Didn't play for us. Went out on loan to Ross County.
Is Shaq Ford still off there?
No, it's a lovely shout though.
Do you know what? I saw his name knocking about earlier. João Ferreira. I'm sure you'll talk about that. Jacob, I know you brought it up on our little group chat.
Whisper it quietly. Remontada, Sam. Remontada.
The remontada. No, cheers, guys. Appreciate it. And I'll catch up with everyone soon.
Huge love, Sammy boy. Look after yourself, mate.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Bye.
What a man. Honestly, his passion for Watford is world class, isn't it? Unrivaled. That's the word I'm looking for. He's teed us up really nicely, though. And to be honest, Charlie, when I was hearing Sam there, I agree with a lot of the sentiment he had about at this point in the season. And he mentioned a couple of key things, which we'll talk about today. The fixtures, Imran Louza leaving, Semedo, who was the name of the striker that evaded Sam, and then a few bits on Pezzolano and just in general Watford chat, because I know people love it. And at this time of the year, even with the Club World Cup on, Charlie, there's almost... I quite like having a break from football, because you then come back like just itching to be back at games and watching Watford. Are you the same? Because I'm watching the Club World Cup. Well, I'm not really watching it. I'm dipping in and out. And I'm like, there's just too much at the minute. There's just too much football in general.
Yeah, for me, like I said, I really, really like the break. I think the way we kind of support Watford is quite not intense, but do you know what I mean? We're really involved, and yeah, to have that break in the period is really nice. And although there's always stuff happening, like I said, I think you get that excitement and that hunger coming back into it when you've had that break. And I'll be completely honest, I've been really, really distant from it, not looked at much. Like we tried to kind of sort out an insight piece on the new head coach, and kind of I've taken on more work, and kind of, I mean, time's been tough, and I've been loving watching Lee Carsey's kids in the England under-21. So that's where my kind of focus has been. But yeah, we had bit of time today that we thought we'd jump on. Great to get Sam on, and yeah, we've got a bit to talk about. So shall we get into it? Starting with the fixtures.
Okay.
Because this is what really kind of got my juices flowing again. For our first 3 fixtures, I was going to tweet, this is kind of the perfect 2 or 3 start to a game for me. Take away the football, but Charlton away for an away day. I haven't been there yet, so that's a good one to tick off, and that should be good. And then yeah, the old enemy at home. Hopefully we can have another repeat of when we played them on the first game of a couple of seasons. And then Swansea, one that I haven't been to because it seems like Swansea's always on a Tuesday night. So yeah, I've already got sign off that I could be down in WD18 for a couple of weeks watching the Orns.
Already signed the pre-contract agreement. What month is jumping out at you, Charlie? Because I have to say that first month is a tasty month to get going. Already I'm looking at Charlton and Queen's Park Rangers going, opportunities to win. Southampton home will be a tough one, obviously under Will Still as well. But the month that really stood out for me, and which will be a defining month, I think, for Watford this season, regardless of how well we are doing, is April. That run-in of QPR away, Charlton at home, Oxford away, Sheffield United home, West Brom away, Middlesbrough away, and then Coventry at home is a tasty run-in. A couple of key dates also to look out for. We mentioned the opening day, how much of a good away day that will be. Watford.
When are we playing Luton?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's been missed off the list. But I was going to say, with Charlton, plan of action, London Bridge, have a few, get on the train. Oh, it's going to be sensational. Sun's out as well, shorts weather, which is most importantly as well. Boxing Day, we are at Leicester away on that Friday. And then New Year's Day, we've got Birmingham at home. A couple of other 2 dates to look out for is Wrexham when we play those. Guys, that's in December as well on the 13th. We then play them at home in March. And then obviously the last game of the season is at home again, which feels like it's every season we're at home on the last game of the season. So Charlie, I've mentioned April there. Was there any other run of fixtures that you looked at and went, wow, okay, this is a sort of make or break periods, or a run of games that will be crucial?
It's hard to decipher really, but I looked at August and September, and I was like, this is a really good opportunity to have a really good start. And I feel like this is Watford. This is who we are, mate. Like we always have a pretty good start. And last season, I think I'm right in saying we won our first 5 in all comps until we played Sheffield United, maybe. So, and I think we know with what squad. Well, we don't know for sure, but it's likely that the squad may be not as thick and full of quality as we'd like. So if we can get to a good start before the injuries start creeping in, but those fixtures up until Portsmouth, Oxford, and then Sheffield United away, that kind of mid-October, that's when it looks getting really, really tricky. That's a really tough run of Sheffield United away, West Brom at home, Coventry away, Borough home, Ipswich away. So yeah, I think if we can have a good start to get good position for October, that'd be really good.
Mate, definitely. And also one thing to mention in between that Charlton and Queen's Park Ranger game is a home Carabao Cup tie in the first round against Norwich. I imagine that will be an opportunity for Pezzolano to see the rest of his squads that maybe aren't going to feature in the Charlton game, with a few first team players in there. So yeah, that is the fixture list. It's weird though, isn't it, Charlie? I don't know how much you read into it because we're going to have to play everyone twice at some point. I normally look at the 3 for me is first game, last game, and then the Boxing Day, New Year's Day, because I feel like that is they're kind of the key dates for me. But I think an opening day like Millwall last season, where that was the away day of the year, wasn't it? I think we voted that on the end of season awards, and the season might have peaked there. But anyway, that is the fixture list. Let us know your thoughts on it and any key runs or dates or games you're looking out for, ones you're really looking forward to in particular. But what's most important really is the players that we're playing for Watford. Now, Sam again mentioned Imran Louza, Charlie. He had his thoughts on it, that he felt a bit deflated after hearing the news. He mentioned, did he hand in a transfer request? He didn't, but he wants that move and has asked to explore those options, which I think is completely fair enough for Louza, because we know he's a man of real quality and has given Watford good service, really, particularly last season. Charlie, let me just read you the article from Anthony Matthews, who's taken over Andrew French since he left the Watford Observer. Watford will seek to maximise return on Imran Louza. Imran Louza is likely to have made his last appearance in a Watford shirt after telling the club he wants to leave. The Watford Observer understands. So not official transfer request, but a kind of informal transfer request, I guess. But Watford Observer has been told that the midfielder is now looking to continue his career elsewhere. So Charlie, thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly watch what we said about him in the Keep Learn or Sell, because I think we were all kind of, he might stay. Will he get like a leadership role? Will he kick on? But I think we should understand what the reality is, that when you have a player of Louza's caliber and a short career, you want to play at the highest level you can. And probably after that 6 months he's just had with us, his stock's probably the highest it's been since we signed him, really. So look, it's a shame. I think the one thing that I'm not too down on it is that I think we'll get a good fee for it. I actually think we could probably get our money back. Did I see that Millwall signed Josh Coburn for 5 million? I like to think we can get maybe up to 10 for Imran. Maybe he's a bit older, but let us know in the comments. I'll ask you after this, Jacob, how much you think he's worth. I think we can get our money back on him. And when we looked at the style we play and how we dictated the game and how he was kind of that midfield maestro, really, we don't know if we're going to play like that. So it's hard to say that it's going to be a huge miss, because if Pezzolano wants to play a different way with maybe 2 midfielders or something like that, like I've been watching Elliot Anderson and Alex Scott, who have just been like a double pivot, but they're not like Louza. They're just full of energy and kind of intensity. So that's been interesting to watch. So I'm not too down on it if we get our feedback. My big problem, and I know this is going to come up, I know this is what we're going to say, but it's like, how do we replace him? But my thing is, with the 2 transfers we're going to talk about, well, Louza and Semedo, with Louza, I think we've already replaced him. I think that's going to be Hector Cipriano, personally. Everyone's saying, we need to replace him, but how do you replace Imran Louza with some of that skill set and convince him to come to a mid-table championship team? I just don't think you can. We signed Louza when we were a Premier League team. So I'm looking now to, okay, we're going to have a midfield. Can it be a bit more dynamic? Can it be, do you know what I mean? Hector Cipriano, we've got Tom Delly. Pierre Duomo had a good end of last season. We've still got Sissoko, Kayembe. So we're stacked, I think, in that midfield. Maybe not full of quality, but I think we're in a good position in that area of the squad.
No, I agree with you that you can't replace Louza like for like in the Championship. I think that's pretty much impossible. I'm not surprised by the news, to be honest. When I saw it, I was a bit gutted, because I do think we really need Louza because of the quality. And as you said, Charlie, very, very difficult to replace. In terms of the value, if you look at his contract situation, he is under contract until 2028. We signed him for 10 million euros from Nantes, which is about £8.5 million. £8 million. So I think Watford will get close to that. To be fair, I actually think we'll probably get our money back for him, as you said. 26 years old. He's a top 5 Europe League player. He's wonderfully technical. He can play attacking. I think the 6 is his best role, but he can play as an 8 as well. I think, look, if you were saying Louza was going to be here next season, I thought he was going to be the sort of creative spark. Cipriano was going to be the destroyer, and then you had a more creative one in front. I think what will probably happen now in this 4-3-3 that I'm reading about Pezzolano, which is going to be possession-based, is if Chatfadazzi stays, Cipriano, Duomo, and then Chatfadazzi as a 3. But I definitely think you can't replace him like for like, so it will have to be Cipriano and Duomo as a 2, which I actually quite like the idea of, from what I've heard and what I've seen. but it will have to be 2 players to make up for losing that, because of that's how good he is. So I'm
we
a little.
We still have got Tom Delly, who has obviously he's not got the standard, but that kind of player who gets off the back, can dictate play, can also beat a man. So yeah,
We'll see. But I from the early days, I'm thinking of that midfield and the balance of it. I think Duomo starts Dele-Bashiru for me if he stays fit. I really like Duomo. And it would have been interesting had Louza stays. I mean, he might stay if no one comes in and gets the right price. Let's not rule that out, because we've seen that before from Watford, who priced teams out. I don't think they will. But I actually think Louza probably would have been slightly more advanced with Cipriano, because I think Cipriano is going to be the deeper one, and Louza would have probably played the 8. So we'll see. Gutted. I'm a little bit gutted because I think Louza was our best player last season, deservedly player of the season. I'm going to throw it out there. If Tom Cleverley was here, would it be a different conversation? Is what I will say. Because, and this is based on nothing at all, and very much just my gut, I felt that Louza stayed last season because of the relationship he had with Tom Cleverley, and Cleverley brought the best out of Louza. I just wonder if Cleverley was here, would that decision be more difficult for Imran Louza to move on? Because clearly the ability's there. And if the club turned around to him and said, look, give us 1 more year, we're going to go all out for promotion, which is what the club is saying in their statements. That's an absolute fact from what Nani said, from what Pozzo said. They're going for promotion this season. That's the barometer we're judging this team at now. If they had turned around and gone, look, Louza, we'll make you captain, give us a full year under a manager you love, I just wonder. So I'll throw that out there, but look, we'll see what club comes into it. Charlie, on that, speaking to a few fans, a few Watford fans, they wondered what league he'd go to. Do you reckon he'd suit Spain or in Italy, or do you think he'll stay in the Prem?
the only interesting thing, and I don't know too much about it, but he went on loan to Lorient, didn't he? And I don't think he'd done amazing. I think they got relegated as well. And I think that harks back to your point about Tom Cleverley, the man of management, to get him playing at a level that he did last season. And I think what you just said is a really, really valid point. It could be true, could not be true. He could just go, look, I know how good I am. I want to be playing at a higher level. I think he could play in any league, to be honest. Like, he is that good. If he wants a bit more... a newly promoted or bottom half Prem team might want to go, we want someone who can look after the ball and can help us build up. But he's a bit untested, or he could go to any of the other leagues and, do you know what I mean, playing a bit more of a higher... He could play like Europa League level, in my opinion, but it all depends. But yeah, it's been a case of a bit of a missed opportunity with him, because he was the one who came in as the Will Hughes replacement. Don't get me started about Mr. William Hughes. I'll start choking up again. And yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And it's just, again, that kind of what could have been with Imran Louza, because last season just showed his sheer quality. So another one of what could have been really another bit of a miss.
I think you're bang on. I think it is a case of what if he'd been fit. There's a lot of if, buts, and maybes with Louza, but in the end, if you look at his story and the redemption arc, I guess, because a lot of Watford fans have fallen out of love with him, he's almost left on a good note if he's going to leave. That might be part of the thinking as well with Louza. You know, I've played the season. I was the best player. I'm clearly the best player here. Now's the time to move on, and the club want to cash in. So I guess it makes sense for everybody, bar maybe Watford fans. One more season, basically. So anyway, let us know your thoughts on Louza. We'll see how that one develops. We'll be across it, and make sure to follow us on our social channels at WD18 Fans. We cover all the news, all the updates, and I'm sure we'll be live to react to that move if it does happen, which looks likely. One move that is developing, and we've been linked with before, Charlie, is Vilvaldo Semedo. Now, this is another bit of news released by Luons, followed up by Anthony Matthews from the Watford Observer. Watford are close to signing 20-year-old Portuguese striker Vilvaldo Semedo from Udinese. Interesting as well in that article, if I just get the tweet up here that we put out, more forward signings are expected to follow Semedo in the attacking area, Charlie. The club are hoping to replicate the attacking success of Dini Vidra Igalo and Forestieri in 2014-15. I saw a little shake of the head there, Charlie. Why?
It's just winding me up. We saw the message about when Pezzolano came in, and we saw we want to bring in a manager similar to Jokanovic, Cisco. Do you know what I mean? Just reflecting back on the successful spells that we have had. And with Semedo, when they talk about they want to replicate those kind of strikers, like Igalo had played like 50 games and scored 20 goals in La Liga before we brought him. Granted, kind of Vidra, when we brought him in, was a bit more unknown, having been at Udinese and playing for their youth team. So, to be honest, my problem isn't the player, and like it's something that we shouldn't kind of write off, and we shouldn't think, he hasn't played at any good level, because I do think he played in Portugal's second tier last year. I think he scored 9 goals in 13 starts, which is pretty impressive. And then you look at his profile, like big, strong, tall, athletic, dynamic. So like everything there looks good. My biggest problem with this deal is Mama Doumbia. Like he's right there. So it's like they seem very, very similar types of players. So what's going to happen with him? Like, I just think if we're trying to mix up the kind of our attacking options, you want a different kind of profile, whether it's someone like, we all want that championship proof, like an Adam Armstrong for like Southampton who went West Brom on loan or something like that. But I just think what happens with Doumbia now, because this lad's 20, exactly the same profile, which I've just listed off. So that's my big frustration, because let's not forget how good Doumbia was, like, and he should have his chance. I mean, the perfect world of the blend of profile of striker we want is a 26-year-old who's kind of been there, who's got a good pedigree, good quality for this level. And then you might want like a 30-year-old, someone who's, do you know what I mean, been there, done it, you can bring a bit more of a leadership. Have that with Doumbia. So I don't know. What do you think about this move? And am I being too harsh?
No, I agree with you. Mainly when I look at the forward options we've got, Charlie, because I've just gone on the club website, because I was like, how many number 9s do we have now since Bio's left? And Doumbia is the only recognised one. They put Vata and Bar in the forward section, but we all know they're not 9s. So we then have 2 young options. And look, it's well documented that Pezzolano needs, or any manager, who it didn't really matter who the manager was, you need more attacking options than that across the season. We were light last season, especially when it's not working, where we were thinking, do we play Vata up front? Do we play Bar? And I think you're totally right about bringing in a 27, 28-year-old, even up to 30, who has been there and done it. I know it's easier said than done. Arsenal are having the same issue at the minute, aren't they? Where they need a goal scorer, but they can't. There's no one really out there who's proven going to bring you goals. Bit easier in the champ, because I feel like you can go abroad and get a few players who have done it in different leagues. But I've seen us being linked to a couple of players in that age bracket, Charlie. But for me, I quite like this signing. I don't know Semedo. I haven't watched him. The profile of the signing's fine, but it's only fine if you bring in that proven, experienced goal scorer. And Adam Armstrong profile of someone who has a track record of scoring at this level, or at least in another league, or has a good goal to game ratio. And when I look at Dini, Vidra, Igalo and Forestieri, first thing is what I would do to have that attacking options back, because it just felt like we could outscore teams. We had every different type of striker, with Dini being more, he had a bit more pace then, but was more of a target man. Vidra would run in behind. Igalo was a mix of both, and Forestieri was like this tricky little player who would get him kind of weave in and out of players. And I just think we had everything there. Whereas now it's encouraging that Anthony's mentioned that we could see some more, which is what I'm holding on to. But how many strikers do we need, do you think? Do we need one more after Semedo? Would it be another 2?
I think it depends what shape we line up with. If we're looking for something that has 2 up front, which...
Well, it's 4-3-3 that's been reported.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. Like, we'll get the first glimpse against... Is it Boreham Wood, that first game? And you got to think, when we've got players like Vata and Bar, are we really going to have 2 up front? Probably not. But then again, a lot of teams these days are playing... Even like I said with England, when they're playing with 4 strikers and two midfielders, if they're good enough, do you know what I mean? And the pressing's good enough. England played with Jay Stansfield, McAtee, Amari Hutchison, and Harvey Elliott. So, do you know what I mean? There isn't too many strikers there, but lots of forwards. And I think our biggest strength is the forwards in terms of Bar, Batter, Georgie, if you want to put in there as well. So it's just that, for me, it's just that one striker who we can be. I think, me included, I thought Jefferson could be a good option, and that obviously worked terrifically. I think before we last spoke, he's now moved to Preston. He's going to be playing under Paul Heckingbottom, who worked along with him at Sheffield United. So everyone will be knowing what's going to happen when we play Preston this season. It's just that one striker, and like you said, it is so hard to get. And I mean, who else were we linked with? Was that the guy who's had a decent record in the French second tier? He's a bit older, isn't he?
That's the one. He's 31. Sorry, the names evaded me. But sorry, man, we didn't mention Charlie Rajovic, who's still on our books. Now, I saw there was links to him going to Paphos FC because Gioretta is the sporting director now. I think Watford could recoup the fee they probably paid for Rajovic, or get close to it, to be fair. But I mean, look, as you're right, it's the most difficult position on the pitch to recruit for. We definitely need one, but we need someone who is proven. I know I've said that about 15 times now, but it's asking a lot for two young guys. And Dumbia's second season, Semedo's first taste of English football, has to be another one. So we'll see how that one develops. We'll just run through a few bits of players who have already joined, actually, Charlie. Wally and Abankwah set to return on loan. Fantastic news. I think we mentioned that on the last stream. Nathan Baxter, Bowler have come in. So that's some early business from Watford, which credit to the club, because we've said before that you need to get your business done early, and there's definitely a lot of weight in getting these players in early for pre-season. Pezzolano's had a few comments. Charlie, have you read his article with the club and his interview? Because actually, I'll throw a more interesting question over to you about him not speaking English just yet. And some fans have raised a few concerns over that and mentioned about Mazzari, and there was a bit of a communication barrier. And I personally feel it's the club protecting him from doing media just in the early stages while he gets up to speed. Do you have any concerns about that?
I think he can speak English. He did an interview with the Coach's Voice, like the day before we announced him or something. And that was my first question: does he speak English? And they were like, "Yeah." Cool. I just think it'll be a case of, do you know what I mean? The club are probably protecting him, putting out his first full interview where he could struggle with certain things, but I don't think he's going to have any problem communicating with the players and getting his messaging across. He just probably doesn't want to sit on camera, and do you know what I mean? It's hard enough trying to communicate and the questions that we want to hear about playing style and stuff like that. So kind of translate that to English from him for what he's used to would be really, really difficult. So I've got no concerns there, really. I don't think it's a case of, remember when Poch used to have his translator next to him and Bielsa and stuff like that? I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think the club are kind of looking after him a bit, easing him in, and I don't think there's going to be any issues him delivering his messages to the players, which is the most important thing.
From what I've read, he speaks obviously Portuguese and he speaks Spanish. And interestingly, Garrido, Cleverley's assistant, is staying on, and obviously Garrido's Spanish. So it'll be interesting to see that relationship. Obviously, he came in from Real Madrid Castilla last season, so that's a good bit of news for Watford. Obviously, we mentioned that Cleverley's left, Charlie. He's gone to Plymouth, and Matty Bevs has joined him as well, which, I mean, amazing move for his coaching team. Absolutely delighted for Damo as well, who's moved on to Plymouth to join Clevs, and Matty Bevs. Wish them the best of luck. And for me, Charlie, I'm really glad that we've started the season and Cleverley's moved on somewhere else, because I felt like it kind of ends that conversation of what could have been or what if. They're in the league below. I'll be rooting for Plymouth. I hope they go up next season. It'd be great to see Clevs back again at Vicarage Road as the Plymouth manager. But I feel like it's drawn a little bit of a line under it now, for me anyway. For you, is that the same, or is it still difficult?
I don't know. Firstly, I think that's a really good step for Clevs. He's going to have one of the best squads in League One, and he should have a really good opportunity to get promoted. And Plymouth are a pretty big club, so really good move for him. I'm happy for him. Yeah, I was shocked to see him take Bevs with him. Obviously, our under-18s coach, who done amazingly in the FA Youth Cup this season. So another great step for his coaching career. And we're having a chat about bits and bobs during the Men's 12 World Cup and his next step. So buzzing for him as well. Do you not get a sense of, I don't know, Charlton away goes badly, QPR we don't win. Do you not think there'll be maybe some cleverly chanting still? Like, you got to remember, like the last game of the season at Vicarage Road, he was stood there and the whole of the rookery was singing his name. I just think it's like kind of muscle memory. And at the back end of last season, he was just such a like focus for us fans. And I think if it doesn't start to go well, I think that's the direction we're pointing, or am I miles off it?
I don't think you're miles off it. I to be honest, I'd be surprised if Cleverley's name was being chanted anymore. I think there was more chance of that had he not got another job, because it's like, oh, he's there, he can come in. Like, we know how football fans are. Like, Cleverley,
he could have been still there.
Bring him back, but
no, he could have been still there if they didn't make that.
But the possibility, not the possibility, but the option of him being there is completely ruled out now because he's moved on to Plymouth. I honestly think for Watford as a whole, whilst I still don't agree with the decision that happened, and I still stand by that. I think it's good that he's gone on to another club. Personally, anyway, as a Watford fan going to games, because you'd always make that comparison. Even if they do really well in League One, it is the division below. But you're not talking about. I think if it would be more difficult had he have gone to a Championship club and done well. That's where it gets tasty, I think.
When has that happened before for ex-Watford manager?
And there we go. So if he'd come back to Vicarage Road, I'm sure he would have got a great reception. But hey, look,
hopefully not. Hopefully the Pezzolano has a good start. Do you know what I mean? We see some exciting football and we get on board pretty early. And I think those fixtures have fallen pretty kind and given us an opportunity to do that.
Wicked. No, agreed. Another thing to mention, I know it's a little bit random today, but we've had everything going on. Can't believe it was half an hour ago. Sam was living the dream on the stream. And Micah Hyde's back at the club.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know too much details about his role. I think he's kind of coming in to replace Jimmy Gilligan. I don't know what his official job title is.
Academy head of coaching.
Nice, yeah, that's a nice jump from him. So he was at QPR under 18s head coach. He actually looked after some of QPR's youngsters, even like that Charlie Kelman and people like that. I know he coached, and QPR do have some good young players coming through. But I think what I really like about this move is we're still trying to keep that Watford. Do you know what I mean? The people who know the club and who really understand the traditions and what we're about. So Micah's the club great for me. Like, I loved watching him play centre midfield. One of my first players I can remember, to be honest. Obviously, he's done a lot of coaching, and he's got a really impressive CV. So to have him back in overseeing our academy is a really good move. And yeah, I thought that was probably one of the best bits, one of the best news I've seen this summer, really.
Totally agree.
Give it to Hardy until the end of the season.
Do you know what I did think though, Charlie? When you said it was some of the best news that you've seen this summer, and then you saw Semedo leaving, was that one of the worst? The chill is no more.
Hasn't really sunk in yet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm sure when they line up and I don't see that defined ponytail, that's when it's going to really sink in. I think the best fit, a good move for him. We'll say a pretty big club, but I think we got like a half decent fee for him, which I'm quite surprised about. But look, when you see us bringing in Abankwah, Caben, Matty Pollock, has it been talking of bringing in another centre back? I'm not too sure, but Mark Bowler can play like a left-sided centre back, and he had a really good season out in Turkey last year. So yeah, I think it's probably the sensible move, but. What do we file Semedo as? A cult hero?
I think cult hero. Just for that season alone with William Troost-Ekong, where he was one of the best. Is it still the best defence in Championship history?
Burnley last year, smashed it.
Unbelievable partnership. So I've seen a few fees flying around. So Watford have officially said it's undisclosed. Fabrizio Romano said it's €2 million.
Fabrizio is talking about it. He knows his big players.
1.3 million impressions on that tweet. We're massive. But Sierralta goes in. Firstly, it's a good fee. I think it's a good move for Sierralta. I think it's a good move for Watford. It just made sense for everybody. Clearly, I'd imagine it was one of those transfers that happens relatively smoothly. He made 133 Watford appearances across all competitions, scoring twice. So I mean, for me, he goes into the cult hero bracket. And if you get promoted within a Watford team, and you play a big part in it, I think you go down as a cult hero.
100%. One interesting thing I saw about him, and I think the Watford Buzz guys retweeted it. Someone threw up a graphic of Watford players' top speed when we were in the Premier League, and he was like second behind Sarr or something like that. He had that burst of pace, didn't he? When like half the time he looks like he's playing in treacle, but then I don't know, he just puts the afterburners on and turns into Usain Bolt out of nowhere. But yeah, big
running game.
Yeah, big that wide stance. Big fan of Franny. Great personality. He never was kind of that permanent player, but he never moaned about it. And whenever he came in, he did a job. So, au revoir.
Defo. Good luck or bon chance to Francisco in
League. Yeah, the bilingual stuff.
Yeah, great 7 for Watford. And one that I'm sure will be welcome back to Vicarage Road in open and warm arms. Charlie, anything else we want to cover today? I know, as I said midway through, a little bit all over the place with this one, but I think it's been a little bit to catch up on. We'll try and get back into the regular swing of things. We've got an insight video on Pezzolano coming soon, hopefully. So we'll keep your eyes peeled for that one. That'll be really interesting, Charlie, because I'm kind of reading up about him. Is it going to be the 4-3-3? Some people have mentioned he plays a 3 at the back at Cruzeiro at times, but at Valladolid it was 4-3-3. I mean, I don't want to leave on a sour note, but from what I read about Valladolid, that pivot was made for Louza.
Yes.
Dropping in a little bit deeper. So there's part of me which is now thinking this isn't good. But anything else you want to mention?
No, yeah. Apologies about the insight video, Pezzolano. We were trying to get someone really who knows his stuff about him and who can give real good insight. So if we can't get them, we'll definitely have a plan B. And yeah, I think I found it hard to get back into the Watford rhythm. So just let us know in the comments what you want to see. We talked about a striker earlier. I do always like looking at players and strikers. If there's like a 5 players Watford should sign or something like that, I think that would make sense after we do an insight video so we know a bit more about Pezzolano. But then we're going to be playing friendly soon, and it'll be the kind of the predictions videos coming up. And look, when looking at those fixtures, Charlton away, post-match pint, QPR in the Mad Squirrel.
Oh, it'd be rude not to.
Rude not to. And then there might be a bit of a talk, not confirmed yet, of a WD18 away day going to Wales for the Swansea game. So yeah, it's been hard getting into it, but I'm looking forward to, I don't know, a big signing or something to reel us back in.
Defo. 43 days until Charlton away.
Bloody hell, that sounds soon.
That sounds soon, but also feels
I'm not ready yet.
Oh, goodness me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy this one. Thanks so much to Charlie and to Sam, who joined us from the other side of the world. I think that is the most beautiful location we've ever had. I was trying to pick the right word there, but genuinely, from what Sam's saying, if you follow him on his socials, make sure you do at Sam_Yuko. He's living the dream at the minute. So, and he's still having the time to talk about Craig Cathcart. I mean, look, the guy's special. Charlie, the guy is special. Thanks so much, guys. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. As Charlie said, comment down below any videos you'd like us to talk about, discuss, do over the next 43 days before Charlton away. And we will see you very, very soon. Have a great summer. Take care. And up the Hornets. You would.